Our guest today is Mohan Subramaniam. He is a professor at Boston College, but all of us know him in his real life as a singer. He has produced a number of very sold out, successful musical shows in Boston. And today we are going to talk to him about how to listen to music. And we are going to do it in three parts. One is that how we should tune ourselves when we are listening to a Bollywood song or ghazal or whatever type of music we are listening. What are the things we should pay attention to? Later on in the segment, we are going to talk about when today we have access to every song we have heard ever in our life on our iPhones and computers, and it means that music is so much accessible from everywhere. So how to deal with listening music with those modern gizmos, and what are the things we should pay attention to that. And the third part, we're going to talk about listening to music in live concerts. So Mohan, welcome to our studio.
Thank you so much, Pendra.
And it's always a pleasure to have you here.
Always a pleasure to come here.
Excellent. So the first time, thousands of years ago, a human being started, humming, and she herself heard the song, and then more people came, and now you go anywhere, everywhere you hear music, in metro, in subways, in bus, home, car, everywhere, people have earphones and all those things. So for those of us who are not singers, who are not musicians, we are always told that if you want to sing, first you have learned how to listen to music. So if you can give us, teach us that how we should listen to music, that will be absolutely fantastic.
Right. I wouldn't claim to teach anybody on this.
Give us an idea. Let me put it this way.
Yeah. And again, there are so many genres of music worldwide, but let's focus on Indian music and more North Indian music, and I can talk something about Hindustani classical music, but also the popular film music, right?
Okay.
So very broadly, any music teacher will tell you there are things. There are a few things that are very important. Sur, that is how much in tune are you. Tal, how you are with your rhythm. And bhav, what kind of
emotions.
Okay. Right? Now, the thing is...
So you basically, just wanted to clarify, so you have emotions and you have a rhythm, and the sur, how will you say, like...
The thing is, this is what I feel, okay, that most people can know if you are completely out of tune.
Okay.
But even among professional singers, there are subtle differences in terms of how accurate somebody can be. Now, in the film music genre, this is one of the things that I wanted to show through some examples and things. Lata has, if you hear her, the way in which she was able to hit the bullseye in terms of, the Shruti perfection, very few people could. In fact, that was something that even classical musicians appreciated about her. A lot of people said that she really has Lakshmi in her throat, Saraswati in her throat, which is that great ability. Now, so most people won't be able to know those differences, but that is something that one learns. The more you learn music, the more you try, the more you realize, how you get to. And for many, it is kind of, you're born with it. That is, you are able to hear the distinction. I can compare it with, say, wine. That some people can tell what is good wine. Now, most people can, even if you don't tell them the price, if it's a $5 wine and a $50 wine, they'll know the difference. This is terrible wine, right?
Sure.
But between a $50 wine and a $100 wine and a $150 wine, Everybody can't tell the difference, right?
Sure.
Then you just go by labels. Same thing with music, that there is a certain quality of Shruti that few people can tell. Okay. Now, this is something that when you are listening to, say if you're having amateurs like me and others singing, you
Amateur
can.
like me. Okay.
No, what I'm saying is that when we are doing our own programs and things, you can make out that there are differences among singers in terms of how good they are at the Shruti. Tal, more or less everybody, anybody who's performing on stage here has. Bhav, very different. Some people are able to project an emotion, and that too, different singers, right? These legends that we have, Rafi or Mukesh or Kishore or Lata, they all had their abilities to bring out bhav. And I've got a few examples to kind of show you what the differences were. And when we perform on stage, it is one thing to sing it in tune, but it's a very different thing to bring the kind of bhav that was brought out, by these great legends.
I mean, I have been to go to attend these programs and all those things, and for me, sitting in the audience, it is once I see those emotions in the singer, I automatically tune in. I connect right away.
Right.
But if that emotional connection is not there, then it becomes hard.
That also, I believe that most people, just like with tune, right? I mean, most people can sense it. There are some singers who people say when they're singing, they sing to you. Begum Akhtar used to be one of these ghazal singers where my father-in-law used to say that when I never had the privilege of hearing her live, but I've heard a lot of her. That on stage also, that when she used to sing, everybody would feel that she's singing just for you. And with these ghazal singers, the same ghazal has been sung by so many.
Yeah.
But the way Begum Akhtar touches your heart, very few people do. So that bhav element is there, and that also, I mean, people get it. But for me, music, right? I mean, it has to touch your heart. But for it to touch your heart, it has to come in sur, otherwise it is dissonant. If the tal is not around, then it bothers you. Quality of the voice in vocal singing also makes a difference. There's some people who have a beautiful voice. I mean, there's nothing you can do. But if that voice is not encapsulated in good sur and good tal, then the voice has no meaning. And even if you have a beautiful voice, if there's no bhav, right, it has no meaning. So what good music is a beautiful combination of these, and we are so lucky that some of the great masters that we have had, and in popular film music, in that era between the 60s, 70s particularly, that it was just an amazing era where so many beautiful songs.
So is there any way you can?
So I wanted to demonstrate one part about, say, the bhav, right? And this is a very rare recording. This is a song from the film Saranga, a very famous song. We all know this song sung by Mukesh. But what I'm going to play for you is an anecdote wherein you'll be surprised to see that same song being tried out in a different voice, whom we all love a lot. But it's an interesting example to see how the bhav can be so different, right? With a similar tune, yet the way the voice comes out with the kind of emotion that has made this song so famous. You can see the demonstration.
Excellent. Now I cannot just wait. So.
Sorry.
और बहनों और भाइयों, 1961 के एनुअल हिट गीत नंबर 9 को याद करते हुए मैं अब आपको देने वाला हूँ एक झटका, एक इलेक्ट्रिक शॉक। रेडी? सारंगा तेरी याद में नैन हुए क्या हुआ भाई, फिल्म सारंगा के सुपरहिट गीत को तो मुकेश ने गाया था, मगर ये तो मोहम्मद रफी की आवाज थी, ये कैसे हुआ? अरे साहब, इसी तरह मैं भी चौंका था जब गीतमाला के दोस्त मोहन भंबानी साहब ने मुझे रफी का गाया हुआ ये बहुत ही रेयर, बहुत ही नायाब मुखड़ा भेजा। तो मैंने फौरन सारंगा के संगीतकार मरहूम सरदार मलिक के होनहार बेटे अन्नू मलिक को फोन किया। तो उन्होंने बताया कि जब ये गीत रिकॉर्ड होने को था तो सरदार मलिक ने इसके लिए मुकेश ही की आवाज चुनी थी, मगर डायरेक्टर धीरूभाई देसाई अड़ गए कि नहीं, मुकेश इतना सुर में नहीं गा पाएंगे जितना रफी गा पाएंगे। और किसी न किसी तरह रफी साहब से मुखड़ा गवाया भी गया। मगर अब सरदार मलिक अड़े कि अरे धीरू भाई, गवाइए इस गीत को मुकेश भाई से, और देखिए कैसा सुरीला यादगार तूफान बर्पा करेगा ये गीत। और साहब, यही तो हुआ। ओ अम्बुआ का झूलना, ओ पीपल की छाँव, ओ अम्बुआ का झूलना, ओ पीपल की छाँव, घूंघट में जब चांद था, मेहंदी लगी थी पाँव, आज उजड़ के रह गया, आज उजड़ के रह गया, वो सपनों का गाँव, ओ सारंगा तेरी याद।
So a few things I wanted to say here.
Okay.
Rafi's, it's so this.
So basically, as a listener, I would like you to explain to us that what is the
What is the
difference you
difference?
notice see between
Absolutely.
these two? Okay.
So, this song is based on Rag Yaman.
Mhm.
Okay, one of the most popular rags that people
Mhm.
have used, music directors have used. So Rafi is giving, and he's got a very different kind of emotion for this song.
Mhm.
His emotions are more, it's more mystical, right? He's, it's like of reminiscence in a way which, it is similar to Hui Sham, Unka Khayal Aa Gaya, right?
Mhm.
That kind of mood,
Mhm.
Mukesh brings it down to pathos.
Mhm.
You listen to Saranga Teri Yaad Mein of Mukesh, it is pathos,
Mhm.
Now, the thing is that it's not that Rafi couldn't bring pathos, right? But Rafi's voice had such a romantic
Mhm.
aura to it
Mhm.
that even his songs which were sad always had some kind of a mystical sense. And this one particularly, it comes out so beautifully.
Mhm.
The way when he sings Saranga Teri Yaad Mein, it's almost like he's in some trance remembering something, whereas Mukesh's thing. And the other thing you want to note, see how Amin Sahni talks about that the perception was that Rafi's sur was a little superior to Mukesh. That was the perception. I don't, I mean, and to me, I have heard these artists so often. I have seen, and those days when the recordings used to happen, you didn't have, auto-tune and
Sure.
you came, you sang, and sometimes it would take a whole day, and you took the best you got.
Yeah.
Your voice was bad, something happened, and you can find all these artists going off here and there,
Mhm.
depending on which song.
Mhm.
Okay, Lata, I am not seeing that.
Mhm. No exception.
Beautiful. I mean, in the sense that the purity was so. But what I'm trying to say is that even among these greats,
Mhm.
right, there were all these perceptions that there are some who hit the bullseye, more consistently than others. That's what he's talking about. Okay, Rafi, Mukesh, itna sur mein nahi ga payenge jitne.
Mhm.
One may not agree, but what Mukesh brings to this song
Mhm.
is like unbelievable.
Mhm.
The pathos, and particularly, that part where he goes, wo sapno ka gaon, right?
Mm.
That gaon lands on the sa of the,
Mhm.
and when he lands there on that note, right, saying gaon, it's almost as if it's a tanpura that the timbre of his voice is so beautiful that it resonates in a variety of different ways, which was the exceptional quality of Mukesh.
Mukesh, absolutely.
Right, Rafi had very different things. And in the same way, Kishore, again, tremendous Shruti. The strength of Kishore was that he could hit a note with so much of power. So his songs had so much more power, but an amazing blend of power and sweetness. So, and Rafi's voice would not have that kind of power. I mean, he had power, but didn't have the kind of, Kishore's voice was like a big Hummer driving through, right?
Very vibrant.
Very vibrant, and but what you will notice with the difference between Rafi and Kishore songs is that in Kishore songs, you don't see too many variations of the note. You will see notes progressing in kind of almost like discrete steps. Whereas with Rafi, you will see a lot of intricacies as the notes, and even the compositions used to be made differently. So the compositions made for Rafi were very different from the compositions made for Kishore. So here's a song from Guide. Okay. This is Kishore's song.
Okay.
And I'll play a small clip,
Sure.
and you see how it goes in discrete steps, right? And then I'll play another duet. This is a duet. And I'll play another duet of Rafi, where you will see that, it's a similar kind of mood, but you will see how the intricacies of the notes are so much more different.
So let's go.
Let me get my glasses.
Sure.
So this is Kishore. Okay. See how he holds that note? Very discreet, right? So, the compositions were made for where the power would come. It's so beautiful and sweet, Now you take the duet like this. This is Rafi, classic Rafi with Lata, same. But you see how the sweetness of the voice is different, the bhav is different, and the way the notes are.
Really, you can see absolutely.
Right?
Yes, yeah.
See how it waves and goes, I'm not saying Kishore songs didn't have that, but if you look at it in a spectrum, see, this is where Rafi is. And look at the romance in his voice,
Very nice. I think you're pointing out some amazing things. Very nice.
So this is, and one more of Rafi. Look at this classic romance, in this song, and you'll see how the intricacies. And this is based on Rag Kedar, but you'll see how the intricacies and the romance in his voice.
Really? Yeah, absolutely.
See how he sweeps through. So for me, listening to Kishore, listening to Lata, listening to Mukesh, the joy comes when I see these different compositions, and you see how the emotions come through so beautifully.
Right.
And as a performer on stage, I mean, the joy is that when you are singing any one of these songs, if you're singing a Mukesh song, or a Rafi song, or a Kishore song, that are you aware of the way in which these people used to emote? And whether you're able to catch that kind of emotion. So obviously there are some, people have different constraints with their voice, and obviously we are nowhere near these legends. But if you are observant of these little nuances, then on stage you are able to convey that emotion a little better, you know. And
so now, what about you as a singer, for example? When
Right.
you listen to these songs,
right.
what first thing comes to your mind? Rhythm, sur, or everything just flows at one time?
For me, you know, the first thing that hits me, first of all, is the melody. If the melody doesn't catch me, then I don't listen to it. The melody has to be there. And again, to just give you an example,
Sure.
we talked about Yaman in Saranga Teri Yaad Mein. This is another song of Yaman, which may not be that famous, but this is a Lata song. But note how the composition, in the first 5-10 seconds, it grabs your attention.
Okay.
And for me, even if I am in a crowded party room or something, if that melody is playing somewhere in the background, and if that melody touches, if it appeals to me, I kind of lose, you know, connections with whoever I am, and my mind goes straight down to those notes. You know, so but that, you know, that's how. So, but here's the song.
Beautiful.
So the now you see that a melody like this, it just catches your heart.
Sure.
Now, obviously, for me, being trained in music, if a melody is coming with a rag that I am, you know, familiar with and, you know, they really love, it catches my attention much faster. But even it doesn't have to be based on a rag. Some melodies just grab your attention. You know, the first time you hear it, it grabs your attention. And then, of course, then whether the bhav is there, you know, and of course the poetry and all those kinds of things start coming in. So, but in short, I think we are very fortunate, you know, that we are surrounded by.
Sure. Now, I want to bring you back to the
Right.
original topic which
Right.
you really started with when you talked about swar and tal and the bhav and emotions. So, for a layman like us, like me, for example,
Right.
if you can put a little bit more about the swar and tal pronunciation, for example, I think pronunciation is equally important when
Right.
singers sing.
Right.
So if you can give a little bit more, throw a little bit more light on each one of these items.
Now, you're right. If the diction is bad, it can turn. So, you know, it's about how you're able. And it's interesting you say that, because Hindustani classical singers who are very well trained and who have tremendous amount of intricacies and things, they may be very good at that genre, but they may not be able to deliver a film song, partly because, you know, they may completely muff up the diction.
Yes.
And also
And by diction you mean pronunciation. like
pronunciation,
how
yeah,
it-
sure. Right. And also what happens is that the poetry has to be presented in a certain way. Now with Hindustani classical, the way it has evolved with the khayals and all that, the words are not that important. In fact, I mean, sometimes the bandishes have some words, but most of the khayal singers won't even, you know, kind of, you know, elicit those words very clearly. It's kind of jumbled. It's very hard to know what the bandish, you know, lyric words are. So there's not so much of emphasis there. But in Hindi film music, there's a tremendous amount of emphasis.
Yeah.
So I guess as a listener, if you're coming back to it, as a listener, you will know that this is not touching your heart, the diction is not coming. Sur, unless it is really out of tune, it is harder for an untrained listener to know. But even then, I have seen listeners are pretty savvy, you know, in the sense that they are able to figure out. They may not understand the science behind it or something, but it's like, you know, with food, right? I mean, you eat it, you like it or you don't like it. You may not know how it is cooked, but you know, you can see a good dum aloo from a bad dum aloo. I mean, you don't know how to make dum aloo.
Sure.
But I think it's the same thing. But the point is that if you know, at least start saying that tal, like I said, most people, right, who are, you know, it's not an issue. The big difference is with bhav. That is huge. That is the same ghazals sung by even great masters, right? Like Ghulam Ali or Mehndi Hasan or, you know, Talat Mahmood and among ghazals and Begum Akhtar and the same one, and you can make out the big difference.
So now, I'm glad you brought the ghazals. So now also is, you know, when we listen, of course, you know, different people are interested in different type of music. Somebody is totally crazy about ghazals.
Right.
Somebody about film songs, some about classical music. Is again, you know, the same, the three things you mentioned, you know, the sur and tal and emotions, they are part of all these different genres.
Absolutely.
That doesn't change.
Absolutely. But with ghazal singing, there is a certain, that is the way in which the poetry is emoted. And the thing is that with film songs, the challenge is that you have 3 minutes or 4 minutes. In 4 minutes, you are making that impact and getting somebody's attention and making it an unforgettable, immortal song. 4 minutes.
Sure.
Ghazals can be longer, and the structure is not as regimented as in a film song. In the film song, like you saw, even with Saranga Teri Yaad Mein, the tune was there, but Rafi had some latitude in terms of how he thought he wanted to present that song. So it's a conversation between the singer and the music director, and they kind of come to. But with ghazals, Khayyam may give you the music, or they have given Begum Akhtar the music for a particular ghazal, but it is more on the spectrum of classical music where you are, you know, elaborating on the thing and bringing that poetry through different variations of notes that you are able to present.
So now the subtleties you pointed out between Rafi and you know, Mukesh and Kishore Kumar and Lata Mangeshkar, those type of subtleties also, I assume, exist among the ghazal singers as well.
Absolutely.
And in the similar way.
Absolutely. Now, Mehndi Hasan's style was very different. Mehndi Hasan's voice again was an amazing voice again, dripping with romance,
absolutely.
right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And amazing shruti accuracy. I mean, it was just so beautiful. I mean, it just is so enchanting. Begum Akhtar's, you know, all those are there, but Begum Akhtar had a certain, like, ease with which she delivered the notes and the poetry. It was as if the music and the poetry and her heart were all, you know, and you can't separate those three. And they were coming absolutely free-flowing. It's like a painter, you know, who's putting a painting and, you know, completely at ease, whereas with the others you think that there are some contours in which they're trying to fill the colors. Ghulam Ali, you know, again, the voice, you know, flows so beautifully, and the enjoyment is of a very different dimension because he does a lot of, you know, intricacies with his singing and, you know, a lot of variations and subtle variations. They're all great masters.
Sure.
It's my personal opinion that when I listen to Begum Akhtar, I feel something.
Okay. Now, I also want to take you a little back, you know, backwards, you know, 50s and 60s, and, you know, of course, you know, I just wanted to touch a little bit on, for example, Hemant Kumar or Geeta
Right,
Dutt,
right,
and
right.
how that generation was different from the generation we are used to
Today.
No, I mean, even go to Lata Mangeshkar and Kishore Kumar, never before that.
Hemant Kumar again, very melodious voice, but you don't see a spectrum in terms of
Variations.
Right, it's very interesting you ask that because the older times. This is something I heard from one of the interviews that I'd seen of Javed Akhtar, and where he was giving this history, where he said, in the real olden days, the actors used to sing themselves. Like K.L. Saigal. K.L. Saigal, of course, was unique. He was a great singer and he acted. Or you were a very good singer and you acted, or you were a singer and you didn't sing. You were a good actor and you didn't sing very well, but like Ashok Kumar. I'm not saying he's not Rafi, right? But he used to sing. But he was an actor who used to sing. But then the concept of playback singing came, wherein they said, okay, let's separate the acting and the singing. So the first set of playback singers were...
So do you have any idea when that happened? For someone like
during that time, this is before Rafi came,
right?
Okay. But this is, when Ashok Kumar's movies and all initially.
Okay.
But the first set of playback singers who used to, and Talat is one of them, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Now, they were brought in because they were very good singers. So they would sing. They would give the best singing. Javed Akhtar pointed out something very interesting. He said that Mohammad Rafi, in fact, was the first real playback singer. Mohammad Rafi was one of the first singers who started changing the way he would sing for different actors. So
he did it intentionally, or
absolutely.
Okay.
So that is the real notion of a playback singer, right? And Javed Akhtar was narrating in the same interview, saying that one day we were sitting for chai somewhere, and and Rafi's new song came at that time, but they had never heard before. You know how in Chai Ki Lari they used to, and without knowing what Javed Akhtar remarked that he was telling his friends, "Arey, Dilip Kumar Saab ki nayi movie aa rahi hai." From that new song, he could know that this Rafi has sung this for Dilip Kumar, and you can make out Rafi, the way he sings for Shami Kapoor has so much more power in it. When he sings for Devanand, it's very intricate. Again, you listen to it. You listen to Asman Se Aaya Farishta, and you listen to Dil Ka Bhavar Kare Pukar. You will see a lot of sensitivity in Dil Ka Bhavar Kare Pukar, very different from Asman Se Aaya Farishta, right? So this was, playback singing, and of course Kishore Kumar and all also used to do it. I mean, because he was an actor himself. But Hemant Kumar, in that context, was more in the sense that it always sounded. Whether you listen to Ya Dil Ki Suno for Dharmendra, or you listen to Jaane Wo Kaise Log The Jinke for Guru Dutt, the voice is very similar, and the mood is similar, this thing is similar. Not to take away any greatness from him. With Hemant again, the purity of notes, beautiful Shruti, and a certain simplicity in terms of what he was singing, yet they could be very complex. And one of my favorite songs, I mean, if it's a duet of Hemant and Lata, anybody can listen. Dekho wo chand chupke karta hai kya ishara. It's Hemant Kumar's music, but the emotion he brings in that is so beautiful.
And what about, let's talk very briefly about Geeta Dutt and Suraiya, that was also in that time.
Absolutely. I mean, the thing is, with Geeta Dutt, very talented singer.
And she was also an actress as well.
Right? One of those rare combinations at that time. But that time, they used to try to look for people who could act and sing. Noor Jahan and all those people.
So now, let us stay a little bit more on this playback singing. So this is, of course, we're talking about 50s, 60s, even 70s, when, there was so much recording technology was not that much there, it could not be edited. Now the whole ball game has changed. And now we have all these new singers, like Shreya Ghosal or Yagnik. And
very good, yeah.
So they're good singers. But has technology also played any role in enhancing their voice or editing?
I'm sure. But I must say here that, see, Kishore Kumar left a much bigger legacy than any of the other singers from that era. So if you look at the new generation singers who have come, they all are going after that kind of power.
Mm-hmm.
So there's so much more power in their singing. So like Kumar Sanu or Udit Narayan, Udit Narayan also had some kind of chanchalta and all that. But that is the trend going now. And now also different genres have come, right? Or the Punjabi Bhangra, and where people's voices are also such a high pitch and things. But the biggest difference now is that you will rarely see anything going out of tune because it's corrected.
Sure, okay,
Right?
yeah, sure.
And
okay.
I'm not saying these people sing out of tune.
Sure,
no.
sure.
But
There's always a chance, and I think it's a
yeah,
human
and also the recordings are olden days. The recording had a certain it was alive because when the singer came, the entire orchestra used to be there and they used to perform with the orchestra, and that was the point. And they used to come for the recording after months of rehearsals because the actual recording was expensive to get everybody and time and everything. So they used to sit down and rehearse. Now the recording is more, you come and just sing your part and go. And then they'll take the tracks from various things and then they all put it together. So
let me rephrase my question again.
Right.
So suppose if this technology, what exists today, editing and everything else existed, say in 60s and 70s,
That's a good question.
and how
Would it have changed?
how the Kishore Kumar would have sounded, or Mukesh would have sounded, or Rafi would have sounded?
I hope, I'm so glad that it wasn't there because I think that there is a certain texture to their voice that is untouched, that is coming out. That these guys were, I mean, maybe it's safe to say they were freaks of nature, literally. I mean, that they had a certain quality in their voice and there were certain ways they used to emote, which was so unique. And I'm so glad that it was untouched by technology.
Yeah, excellent.
And
Good answer.
I think technology, I don't know whether it enhances the greatness so much, but it does make mediocre singers sound better,
Okay.
And I'm not saying anything
Sure.
about the current crop of singers, but I'm just saying
No, I think it makes sense.
that
absolutely.
that these guys were so good, and that many
I mean,
times,
I always say this, it's just like, that we have our pictures taken.
right?
And it looks everything on the Facebook so wonderful because everything has been worked. And then when you meet somebody on face to face, oh my God, this is not the person I really, I was thinking it was like that. So this is enhancement, which is good, it's a good technology. Now I want to say again on this technology that so also our singing experience has changed completely. And I'm sure we all remember, from the record, from before relying completely on the radio, then the record and tape recorder, and now the music is so easily available,
Right,
accessible
right.
anywhere. And there is any song you have heard, you can access it anywhere, anytime. So how does this growth and advancement in technology and availability of music has affected the listening habits?
There is, so one argument is that it can make things very fragmented, right? It's funny, I believe that as human beings, as social human beings, there is some value to what we call a hit, that Bina ka geet sata geet, those days, right?
Sure.
Top song. Now, we can argue that the top song need not be the best song. And also songs that didn't make it to the list, there might have been very beautiful
Sure,
songs, right?
sure.
So the concept of a hit is different from the concept of the best song. But the value of a hit is that there is some unseen, invisible thing that binds us, that we all enjoy certain songs, and there is a certain value to it, and I'm not able to put my finger on it.
Sure.
Right? Now, if you believe in that logic, then even all this fragmentation is not going to change it.
Sure.
You can, in theory, listen to anything, but we still listen to a few
Which
songs
affected us and which we have memories with.
for us, right?
Sure.
But even as the younger generation, even in India today,
Mhm.
Rafi and Mukesh and Kishore are still very popular.
Sure.
Despite all the things going on.
Sure,
Yes,
sure.
I mean, yeah, the genre has changed, there's so much more dance and this and that, and that is true. But
Yeah,
still,
and different style of singing too, completely different.
right.
Yeah.
But still,
Mhm.
there is a lot of value to these old classics, and they still come. And I still go back to that. That
Sure.
the emotion, the bhav, the
Mhm.
quality of the voice, the soul, the melody, those things were amazing. And as long as those roots are there, right? That is our, at least from an Indian perspective, that the Indian psyche feels that that kind of melody is something that touches your heart. It keeps coming back, right? Despite the fragmentation.
So now my last question to you is, listening to music, through all these gizmos, technology,
Right,
or
right.
YouTube or whatever you
Right.
have, and then listening to music in a live
Right.
concert.
Mm.
So is there any, like, the listeners would pay attention to what are the things?
The thing is that, particularly with the gizmos and particularly with more modern recording, the quality of the recorded song will definitely be better than
What you see in the live?
the quality in terms of shruti, in terms of balance and all that, right? In a live program, there is so much, but with good artists, you will see them making variations, presenting songs in slightly different ways, trying out different ways of putting things.
And there also you can see the emotions live. I think that's the one place where
Absolutely.
emotions become very important factor.
Absolutely. But sometimes what happens is that, see, I mean, there's where I would differ from the film music and Hindustani classical. That you go for a Rashid Khan concert live is a very different experience from listening to his records.
Sure,
Okay.
absolutely.
But I'm not all that very sure that listening to Udit Narayan live
Mhm.
is, because what happens is that there are too many I mean, there
Too many variables.
variation. The sound in the auditorium may not be good that day, or something. Maybe
Echo or sound system is not
Right,
good.
right. And at least the experiences I've had
Mhm.
with listening to in these big auditoriums, when the sound is not very good, it just spoils the thing, right? But with classical musicians generally, I mean, it's easier to set the sound okay, because there are a few you're not changing too many things, there are not many instruments, and again, maybe it's my bias, maybe that I would much rather listen to Rashid Khan or any of these people live rather than Udit Narayan live.
Sure, okay.
Do I
No,
respect
I
both
totally-
of them
Sure,
in my own different ways.
sure.
But the quality of the recording that you can hear
Mhm.
and on a good system,
Mhm.
that quality is difficult to get live.
Now, this answer, I can guess very easily from you that who will be your most favorite female singer, as we talked earlier. Lata Mangeshkar, we just came with one name.
Yeah.
But I do want you to pick one male singer. I know it's a tough one,
Yeah,
but.
but I think Rafi, in that sense, that Rafi, the way he has touched me
Mhm.
with the range of things,
Mhm.
they're unbelievable. Particularly the romantic songs of Rafi.
Mhm.
Oh.
Well, I'm going to pay now more attention to his romantic songs,
Oh, absolutely. You should listen to his romantic songs.
Mhm.
Oh, he's a master at that.
Mm.
I don't think, that.
But he also has his sadness in his
Oh, yeah,
own
yeah,
way
yeah,
too.
yeah. No, I'm
which
not
is
denying that.
Yeah,
I'm not
yes,
but like I'm saying that his sadness to me comes more in some kind of a mystical way, where Mukesh's sadness is so much more, it is real pathos, like I said.
Mm.
That's how
I
I
think
see
maybe
it.
you want to say that Rafi Saab makes even sadness happiness or something like that. No.
Yeah. There is Mukesh, and I have paid a lot of attention to Mukesh songs,
Mhm.
particularly when I'm
And
preparing.
you mostly sing Mukesh songs, right?
Yeah, and Rafi,
And Rafi,
right? But Mukesh, the way he phrases certain words
Mhm.
also add to the kind of sadness that he brings to a song.
Sure.
And it's very interesting because, when I prepare for a song, I might sing something based on memory first. Then then I record it, and then I listen to it back to back with the original. And then you can immediately make out the minute differences, right? And it is not just about the Shruti, but it's also about how these words are phrased. And because I mean, I have no these things in saying that I would like to imitate him 100%, because he was such a great master that I have no idea what he used to think in terms of how he used to phrase these words, but it was like magic.
What about now? One thing I also want to ask you is that you are also producing another musical program,
Right.
And so if you can just tell us briefly about that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So the 7th of May at the National Heritage Museum in Lexington. So we are doing a program called A Musical Journey with Rishikesh Mukherjee. Now,
the famous Rishikesh Mukherjee.
Absolutely, right? And we are very lucky that Rishikesh's son Pradeep and his daughter-in-law Swati, we are doing this along with them.
Excellent.
And we have Soumya, Raghu, Nidhi and Valentino as the singers, Preetesh Srivastav, Kavita Chibbar, and Ajay Sinha, one of my old friends, is an art history professor at Holyoke. He's also helping us, and of course Meera,
Sure.
my wife, is
You cannot have a show without her, right?
Absolutely, she's the backbone for all this. But it's interesting that Rishikesh Mukherjee as a director, we all know his films.
Sure.
Right? I mean, old classics like Anuradha,
Sure.
Anupama, Ashirwad, and more contemporary.
Chupke Chupke, right? That's his
Chupke
film.
Chupke came much later. Golmaal, Chupke Chupke was his more later movies. And then, but there was a time when Abhiman, Anand, Guddi, right, Milli, Satyakam, right? These are his works. He's most well known for the notion of portraying Indian middle class. Now, and this is what is so interesting that I found, that if you think of somebody like Amol Palekar, right, who was acted in Golmaal and all that with him, he's done 5 films with him. Amol Palekar comes across as that,
Sure, common, yeah. Absolutely.
This is what. So he used to get big stars like Rajesh Khanna or Amitabh Bachchan and portray them as very ordinary people, but very memorable roles.
Sure, absolutely.
They say Bawarchi, for example, right? He comes as a servant, Rajesh Khanna, right? I mean, very ordinary people, absolutely. You will also see other directors like that.
What about Amitabh Bachchan you mentioned? Which film you will...
Amitabh, he has done Abhiman.
Abhiman, okay.
Anand,
right.
he introduced
Oh,
her.
yeah, right, yeah.
Basically,
absolutely.
Abhiman,
Absolutely.
right? Nili,
Sure.
Namak Haram,
Sure.
right? These are big movies with Abhiman.
Yeah, Amitabh, yeah.
But the interesting thing is that if you compare the style of Rishikesh Mukherjee, like Golmaal, Chupke Chupke, it's similar to, say, Basu Chatterjee. In his movies, like, I don't know if Rajnikanda was his, but you see those Choti Si Baat, right? So they kind of, but the big difference, I feel, between Rishikesh and Basu Chatterjee is that Rishikesh films, the music is outstanding. And he was a Class A sitar artist in All India Radio, also, apart from being a director, at least in his early life. And so he has done some spectacular music in his films.
Excellent.
And so that is what we are trying to celebrate.
Excellent. Good luck. And now everybody who has watched this video is going to make, I'm sure that they are going to pay attention to Sur, Tal and Bhav of all the singers who are going to perform there. So good luck.
Thank you so much.
Sure.